There were some tense moments on the picket line at Port Newark today as union members faced off against Port Authority police in full riot gear. The longshoremen said they had the right to block this entrance from trucks trying to get in or out.
Not going to let anything in or anything out. No vehicles in or out. And they're trying to run our pickets. We're walking back here nice and peacefully, keeping everything calm. They want to run us over.
Port Authority police did report several violent incidents. In one, a truck driver's leg was broken when he apparently tried to crash through the picket line. 3 Port Authority police officers were hit by glass fragments. Industry experts not only didn't expect the violence, they didn't expect the strike.
This strike was completely unexpected. We thought we had some kind of a temporary agreement to work. Right now, the port is closed completely. There's no ships. There's 10 ships tied up, and there's no cargo moving in or out.
At Port Elizabeth and here at Port Newark, almost 4,000 workers are on strike, from equipment operators to laborers who offload goods from the ships. Usually, this area behind me is bustling with activity, but now, as you can see, everything's quiet.
The reason? Union officials want to keep the $17 an hour starting salary and not the proposed $14 from the shipping lines. The shipping lines want to reduce guaranteed work hours from $2,200 per year to $1,700. The union says, no way.
They want to take money away from us. They're trying to break the unions, and we want to protect our jobs.
Although this strike started off with a bang, the president of the Longshoremen's Union hopes it won't last long. At Port Newark, I'm Trish DeGasperis.
Dock workers were also on the picket lines in South Jersey today, in Gloucester City and in Camden, where some ships anchored offshore waiting for word on the walkout. The Longshoremen's Union, with members in the southern part of the state, is negotiating with the Council of North American Shipping Associations, representing the Philadelphia, Virginia, Rhode Island, and Baltimore regions. Shipping companies there are demanding a 2-tier wage system that would increase workers' salaries by $1 an hour for handling cargo in containers and decrease wages for handling all other cargo by $3 an hour. Union representatives are scheduled to meet with the Shipping Association tomorrow in Arlington, Virginia, to resume the talks. In some respects, the effects of this strike are obvious. 4,000 East Coast workers are no longer drawing paychecks. Police and security forces are drawing overtime. But what does this strike mean to the average consumer? Frank Tenzar explains.
A strike is by nature an unfortunate event because no matter what the ultimate outcome between the calling of a strike and the settling of a strike, somebody is bound to suffer. It's a good bet that with this strike, you and I, the consumers, are likely to feel some of the pain. Cornell Schultz is a trucker.
Right now I have a load of poached hams in the trailer.
But the strike means he can't move those hams. What is this going to mean to consumers?
They're going to end up paying more money.
That could also apply to the bananas, oranges, and other produce that come into this port. Reduced supply could elevate prices, and consumers are going to wait longer for those cars they've ordered. Port Newark's way up in car imports. Good news when the port's operating, bad news today. At the Port of Philadelphia's Camden docks, plywood, steel, and cocoa beans will remain in their holds until the strike is settled, causing further shortages and heightened concern among local economists. If this is a long strike, they worry, goods would be moved to other ports not affected by the work stoppage. That would increase transportation charges to retail markets, and we'd pay the bill. And what if importers chose to stay at non-struck ports instead of returning here after the strike? Jersey ports might, they warn, never recover. It is very strange here today at Port Newark. Nothing seems to be moving. This strike is not even 1 day old yet, so you and I, the consumers, can't feel it yet. That'll take a few more days. And the more days this strike wears on, the more likely you and I are to feel its effects. At Port Newark, I'm Frank Tenzar.
Raymond Donovan's lawyers charged today. The former labor secretary is the victim of an insane prosecution. That's how the defense opened arguments in Donovan's New York fraud trial. The charges link Donovan and 8 others involved with the Secaucus Construction Company and a controversial subway project. Dave Schreckweiser reports.
What does this case boil down to, bottom line, as far as the defense is concerned?
The indictment charges basically an accounting dispute.
Roseland attorney Ted Wells was the point man for the defense today. As Raymond Donovan and his co-defendants looked on, Wells went right after the government's fraud indictment, calling it a series of, quote, ridiculous charges. Using a blackboard and a 16-foot-long replica of the disputed subway project, Wells carefully painted the picture of the Schiavone Construction Company helping out Joe Pell Trucking, a minority contracting firm the prosecutor says Schiavone used to defraud millions from New York City. Wells said Schiavone Construction legitimately leased construction equipment to Joe Pell, and that the disputed $7 million was payment by Joe Pell to Schiavone for the equipment. We were like Hertz, Wells said. We bought the equipment and rented it to Joe Pell. We can show where every penny went. For more than an hour, Wells detailed the Schiavone case, saying everything in the Joe Pell deal was done out in the open. People who commit crimes try to be secretive, he said. They don't put it in a contract, they don't write it down in black and white, and they certainly don't give it to the FBI like we did. Referring to the tapes the government will play of Joe Pell owner William Maselli, Wells asked the jury to remember that, quote, Billy Maselli likes to brag a lot. Summing up, Wells said Donovan and his co-defendants are, quote, trapped in the twilight zone with Mario Marola, the Bronx DA. This is an insane prosecution, he said.
I just don't believe these people have done anything wrong, period.
And your comment about being trapped in the twilight zone with Mario Marola, can you expand on that a little bit?
I'd rather not expand on it. It was a statement made in court, and I said what I said.
So far, all the defense attorneys have claimed that their clients didn't steal a penny from the New York City Transit Authority. They claim the subway project was completed, that the work was done properly, and that they have records to back that up. So the question for the jury is, do they believe the defense or the prosecution's claim that the defendants allegedly ripped off the city of New York for close to $7.5 million? At the Bronx County Courthouse, I'm Dave Stratweiser.
A prominent Burlington County couple died this morning when their private plane crashed outside a small Lumberton airport. The victims include former Burlington County College president Harmon Pierce and his wife Ann. Their plane had just taken off when it plunged into a nearby field. There were few witnesses, but ironically, one of them was an FAA inspector flying with a student pilot who saw the crash from the air. There's no word on the cause. The National Transportation Safety Board has sent a team of investigators to search for clues. Officials say Dr. Pierce had just taken a new executive position at Penn State University.
Plans to open New Jersey's first AIDS nursing home have been put on hold tonight. A Bergen County company says community opposition has forced it to postpone negotiations with the state to open a facility for AIDS patients in Newark. Continental Health Affiliates officials want to talk to Newark leaders before going ahead with plans to open an AIDS unit at the Hospitality Care Center. The company's president, Dr. J. Richard Goldstein, is asking the state's Executive Commission on Ethical Standards to decide whether it was improper for him to negotiate for the AIDS unit with the state. Goldstein is the state's former health commissioner. Newark Mayor Sharp James says 35 homeless families living in City Motel are a New York problem. The families are from New York and have been living at the Lincoln Motel since last Friday. James has set an October 15th deadline for New York to relocate the families. New York officials say they plan to move the families back across the Hudson, although no timetable has been set. And still to come tonight, roadblocks will be set up again, this side of the George Washington Bridge.
An Essex County man makes the grade as Teacher of the Year.
And in business, Jim Van Sickle is entertained at Expo 86, a place for businessmen to promote themselves and their products.
That's when we come back.
New Jersey Network News is made possible in part by a grant from First Jersey Securities.
Masterpiece Theater presents Winston Churchill, The Wilderness Years. This week, Chamberlain's sympathy toward Germany threatens the empire.
Because Germany will become the dominant economic force in Europe. It's a natural role. And we shall keep the empire. We can share Africa between us.
Winston Churchill, The Wilderness Years on Masterpiece Theater.
The Life and Time of Winston Churchill, Monday at 9.
Nothing changed the West faster than the railroad. It steamed over everything in its way, including the American Indian. But the spirit of the untamed land still lives in the West of the Imagination.
You'll travel the West of the Imagination Tuesday night at 9.
Around the state tonight, roadblocks are coming back to Bergen County. Prosecutor Larry McClure says police will resume the checkpoints to catch drugged or drunken drivers at the George Washington Bridge in Fort Lee later this week. But he says the roadblocks will be temporarily removed if traffic starts to back up or if complaints of traffic snarls, which forced the suspension of the roadblocks last month, but not before 50 people were arrested on a variety of charges. A Washington Township police officer will not be forced to undergo drug testing because he was not told of the township's plan when he was hired. The township agreed with the police union's lawyer that forced compliance would be improper. The mandatory testing program in the Gloucester County community has come under fire since Mayor Joseph Robertson introduced it a month ago. It would affect 200 municipal employees. The police union has filed suit to block the testing, calling it unconstitutional. A judge last month lifted a temporary restraining order on the tests, but ordered written guidelines on the procedure be distributed to employees. They're expected to be completed by next week.
Officials at the Oyster Creek Nuclear Power Plant in Lacey Township today said that one employee's been fired, another's resigned because of an investigation into their alleged use of drugs. The probe was initiated last month. One worker quit during the investigation. The other was discharged for failing to cooperate. New Jersey Network News has learned that one of the employees was a control room operator, while the other was a clerk. Officials for General Public Utilities would not reveal the results of the pair's urinalysis, nor would they say what kind of drugs were allegedly used.
And it's time now for the news and business. Jim Van Sickle's here with it. Some more news on economic indicators?
Thank you. Well, it's the main indicator, actually, because if we get more days like today, the October economic indicators may get a boost over the numbers we reported yesterday. Volume up today, and the numbers up too, but not as high as they had been through most of the day. At 10:30, the Dow was up almost 28 points. And held pretty well until about 3:30 when the profit takers moved in. It was a fairly broad advance. The New York Stock Exchange index was up 1.25, and winners were ahead of losers by about 2 to 1. Northern New Jersey, a business resurgence there, a turnaround from the grim times of the 70s. And celebrating that, business to business is the theme there today. South Mountain Arena, Expo 86, a chance for businessmen to find what they can do for each other. And there was selling going on.
Now, mayonnaise happens to be the #1 word. All I have to do on my keyboard is touch the #1, and automatically on my screen it completes the spelling for me of the word mayonnaise.
A typewriter to do your spelling for you.
It'll mail merge for you if you have a mailing list that you like to send out different flyers to or ads to.
And there were many modern wonders of the office equipment world and crowds of business people looking at each other's wares. Mid-Atlantic Bank and the Greater Newark Chamber of Commerce, co-sponsors of the event, and celebrating the booming environment of North Jersey.
It's been dynamic, I think, basically for the last 5 or 6 years when people have really started to believe in New Jersey.
One of the purposes of this exhibition is to introduce businesses that are here to the broader community. For instance, if you need to bring the outdoors into your office and make it more attractive, plant care. Or if you want fine art in your corporate headquarters, Art Plus. Furniture, well, one local firm, Office Interiors. A big turnout for this expo, which continues tomorrow from 10 a.m. through 5 o'clock in the evening. A great variety of New Jersey businesses, from catering services showing off their culinary skills to even a company, Iron Mountain Courier, which will store your computer data deep inside mountains for its protection. And they have cellular phones here. You can even call home. American Mobile Communications Secaucus, walk around or drive around telephones. So much business activity in a burgeoning New Jersey, and a big crowd to see it. Displays, seminars for office workers and management, and a chance for business people to get acquainted with each other. A boost for General Public Utilities as its Oyster Creek Nuclear Station wins accreditation for the National Nuclear Accrediting Board for its training programs. And on the strength of that, GPU becomes a center for the training of nuclear workers. People Express, the Justice Department's Antitrust Division, says that it will not object to Texas Air's takeover of People. So that is one hurdle out of the way for Texas Air, which now turns to the Department of Transportation, the bankruptcy court, the unions, and the lenders to finally clear the way. By November 1st, they hope. By the way, Texas got full government approval today for its takeover of Eastern Airlines, and thus comes close to being the biggest airline in the country, which it will be when all those takeovers are done. Pratt Hotel Corporation bowed out in its bid for Resorts International Class B common stock today, owned by the estate of the late James Crosby. Now, Pratt had planned to tender $100 a share for all the Class B stock in the event the estate shares had been offered. But then the deadline on Pratt's offer ran out last night, and they decided not to renew it. looking for advice on the new federal tax picture? At Montvale, Management Accounting Magazine says that its October issue contains a study of issues facing businesses and individuals. In it, Prentice Hall technical consultant Robert McGee contends, among other things, that the new law likely will raise more revenue than the old one, government predictions to the contrary notwithstanding. New business for New Jersey, Murdoch Magazine, publishers of more than a dozen national and international journals, moving out of New York City to Secaucus, where it will occupy 100,000 square feet of space. The move scheduled for next January. And that's about it, Mark.
You look like you had fun at that convention.
I had a lot of fun up there. You saw a lot of business people. I got to meet a lot of folks that were well worth meeting. By the way, that telephone call...
I was going to ask you, did you call home?
I made that home, and I found out who was not there, because all I got was my own answering machine.
But it still costs money then, huh?
At least you know you're not home. Thank you, Jim. An Essex County high school teacher is at the head of his class tonight. Gerald Walker, a chemistry teacher at Livingston High School, was named Teacher of the Year by the state's Department of Education. Education Commissioner Saul Cooperman selected Walker from 3 finalists in line for the honor, recognizing his numerous professional accomplishments and his commitment to the profession. Walker, a 23-year veteran of the classroom, told the audience at the board meeting that his success as a teacher can only be measured by the success of his students.
Well, Michael Barkham will be bringing you a sports report later on tonight, so I'll give you the weather as we watch a busy little bee gathering pollen along the Delaware River. The current temperatures around the state look like this. In Newark, it's 84 degrees. They saw a high of 86, which broke the record for this day set in 1950. A low in Newark of 75, and it's partly sunny there. Here in Trenton, it's 80 degrees. We saw a high of 82 and a low of 70, and it's a little cloudy down here. Atlantic City, 82 degrees, a high of 86, and a low of 69. It's also sunny in Atlantic City. Now for the forecast, tonight we're going to see some clouds and maybe get some thunder showers, lows 61 to 69. That'll leave us with some morning clouds and fog. For tomorrow, maybe some afternoon sunshine, temperatures comfortable at 68 to 76 degrees. And we might wake up to some showers on Friday morning, but it'll be sunny and warm by late afternoon, temperatures 75 to 82 degrees. And on Saturday, the humidity will begin to creep in. It'll be partly sunny, very warm, 80 to 87 degrees. Sunday also looks pleasant, partly sunny, 82 to 88 degrees, and it looks like a real nice weekend.
And it was crowded on that flower.
It was crowded, wasn't it?
And still ahead tonight, October is proclaimed Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
And in sports, the Pirates of Seton Hall score on the latest top 20 college soccer poll. Michael Barkan has that story and the rest of sports.
And that's when we come back. That's right.
Yes.
Thursday night is special on New Jersey Network. At 8, a documentary examines the reasons students leave school and the consequences they must face on Project Second Chance, Dropouts in America. Then at 9, Luciano Pavarotti celebrates the 25th anniversary of his debut. Don't miss Pavarotti at Madison Square Garden, the Silver Jubilee Concert.
We're New Jersey Network. We like Jersey best.
I'm Peter Graves, and this premature baby is about to breathe more easily. On Discover the World of Science, find out how cows are helping premature babies. We'll also discover why this young wild horse lives the life of an aristocrat, how this mechanical mouth makes a new snack food more appealing, and how science may help keep this skater on her feet. Join me next time on Discover the World of Science.
Thursday, October 9th at 8, your time for Discover.
Pat Scanlon is on assignment tonight, so Michael Barkan is here with the day's news in sports and soccer. Top 6.
That's right. Bad news if you're a Seton Hall fan. The Seton Hall men's soccer team now 6-1, a 2-1 loss in overtime tonight against LaSalle in Philadelphia. Why are we talking about the Pirate soccer program at all? Because the national rankings are out, and the South Orange team broke in at the number 18 spot. Last Saturday, they knocked off 12th-ranked Temple 1-0 to secure a place in the national poll. The Pirates were only 1-10-3 in '84. Then Ed Kelly took over and turned the program around with an 8-7-1 record last year. Now, everyone likes to dream a little, so we asked Ed about going undefeated, which, of course, after today's game against LaSalle is an impossibility, but everyone likes to dream.
I'm not really a fan of undefeated seasons. I think it creates too much pressure for the kids, and a loss is always very good. in order to rebuild and start again of things that have broken down. We wouldn't want our loss to happen, we say, in an NCAA championship. I'd much rather have a loss in regular season and get ready for the NCAA playoff games.
Fairleigh Dickinson fans may remember Kelly. He was an assistant there for 5 years before joining Seton Hall. It's nice to see a struggling program turn around like that. Go Pirates. Too bad about the Yanks that they're out of the pennant race. They've won 7 out of their last 10 games. Last night it was a 5-2 win against Toronto at the stadium. Ricky Henderson got his 9th leadoff home run of the season to put the Yanks ahead 1-0. The Bronx Bombers would get 3 more in the inning to go up 4-0. Henderson rounds the bases. Don Mattingly was only 1 for 3 last night with a walk, keeping his batting average at .349. Meanwhile, Boston's Wade Boggs had a 4 for 4 night to send his average up to .358 as the batting crown race comes down the home stretch. Dave Righetti got his 43rd save of the year to wrap things up for the Yanks. The Phillies shellacked the Cubs last night 9-2. Here's the man who led the way. Von Hayes had 2 home runs and a double, driving in 5 runs. The Phillies had 15 hits in all, helping pitcher Bruce Ruffin get his 9th win. There's the double by Hayes. Mets didn't get a win last night in Montreal. The Expos needed just 1 run to clinch the victory, and it came in the first inning as Tim Rays grounded out to short, sending Mitch Webster home from third base. Ron Darling had a rough night here, taking one off the thigh as Andres Galarraga gets on base. Darling lost his bid to get win number 15. Now, if you're an optimist, you can try to get Mets World Series tickets. They go on sale tomorrow at 7 p.m. The Eagles today reactivated fullback Anthony Toney, who had been on the injured reserve list with an ankle injury. As you may know, safety Wes Hopkins was put on the injured reserve list after Sunday's game, and Kevin Allen, an offensive lineman, was waived. But let's talk about Keith Byers here throwing a 55-yard touchdown pass against the Rams Sunday. Mike Quick on the receiving end. Not only did Byers throw the ball, but as you can well imagine, he runs with it pretty good here. More than a couple of defenders trying to take him down. Many were skeptical about Byers' chances for success this season after the foot problems he had, but Sunday he gained 78 out of the Eagles' 136 rushing yards. All right for Keith Byers. Finally, former USFL quarterback Chuck Fusina has signed with the Green Bay Packers, but Coach Forrest Gregg says to Doug Flutie fans that the team is still interested in the 1984 Heisman Trophy winner. The Packers are 0-4 and have scored only 2 touchdowns with current QB Randy Wright. Gregg said today that because Flutie's contractual situation to Generals owner Donald Trump is still unresolved, the Packers could go no further in their pursuit of Doug Flutie. So stay tuned on that front.
All right, we will. Thank you, Mike. Governor Tom Kean today signed a proclamation designating October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. State Attorney General Kerry Edwards read Kean's proclamation to a crowd gathered on the State House steps. He accepted an award and a T-shirt from the New Jersey Coalition for Battered Women on the governor's behalf. New Jersey Network senior producer Janice Sellinger was also honored for her documentary, Battered Wives, Shattered Lives. The comprehensive documentary and call-in program on domestic violence aired nationally on PBS. It was reported by Kent Manahan and narrated by Ed Asner, and it's won a host of awards, including the National Headliner Award, the International Film and TV Festival of New York. It keeps going on here. A Pinnacle Award, a Philadelphia Bar Association Award, a New Jersey Sigma Delta Chi Award, and a Philadelphia Emmy nomination. That's a lot of awards and honors.
That is. But I think even more importantly, Mark, that program generated over 10,000 phone calls from victims of domestic violence, and I think it helped out a lot more people than Kent and Janice ever thought it would.
So more than just the awards, it's also aroused community interest and reaction.
Sure it has.
And that's it from here. I'm Mark Levinson.
And I'm Pat Battle for Kent Manahan. From all of us here at New Jersey Network News, thanks for joining us.
Good night.
New Jersey Network News is made possible in part by a grant from First Jersey Securities.
I'm Scott Moniak, host of State of the Arts. Join us next time to meet the legendary playwright and director George Abbott. Get a preview of what's hot this season at the theaters and galleries around the state, and find out why big corporations can mean big money for the arts. All next time on State of the Arts.
Be sure to join Scott Moniak for the season premiere Sunday night at 8:30.
Embark on an unprecedented journey with The Africans as renowned author and scholar Ali Mazrui recollects man's origins in Africa.
Cattle might have been imported into Africa. Maize was imported into Africa. But man is indigenous to Africa. Man is native to the core.
The Africans.
This has been a presentation of New Jersey Network.